Hello everybody, welcome back to the 020 podcast. In this episode, we'll be delving into the topic of friendships and social pressures experienced by teenagers in school. Reflecting on our current friendships, what do you think creates these close, long-lasting friendships at this stage in our lives?
Okay, so for our age, right, I think shared experiences is a very important thing. Right now, most of our time in our teenage years is spent in school with our classmates. So I think we would tend to bond over shared experiences, like we're going through school, we're going through lessons together, we're going through PE together. So I think these shared experiences is like a medium for us to like bond and talk about things, etc. Well,
I think common interests as well is also another way where friends bond together. Let's say both of you all like NBA or watching basketball. You all can talk about it in school. You can spend hours talking about it if you're really that interested, and that in itself grows a bond. Also, if both of you all are passionate about a certain talking point, then you all can also spend hours talking about it and learn more about the other person through him sharing his perspective on that particular topic, and then both of you all can grow and iron sharpens iron each other.
Yeah, there's the saying which goes, birds of a feather flock together. I think for most people, they don't really think about, I want to be your friend,
Yeah.
It's something that clicks instantly. It's a natural thing. Most people don't think about it. I think same goes for me. When I was in primary school, I believe that most of my friendships were because I just wanted to have fun. I just wanted to enjoy, common interests, same sport, things like that. But as I progressed into secondary school, I think because of the wider range of people and our character is more developed and we are also more mature, I think I started to also pay more attention to individual character and values.
That's right.
Because at the end, your friendships will determine how you grow and develop in life.
You sort of become more selective on who gets to be in your social circle, and you make sure that everyone who is in your social circle forms a mutually benefiting relationship for both of you, so that you all can grow together while still having fun, of course.
For me, in primary school, obviously we all weren't very mature, so we just make friends with anyone, anyhow. Usually I'll just become very close friends with whoever I sat next to. But as I grew up, I start to realize that I just became friends with them because they were beside me or whatever. When I'm in secondary school, I'm more mature. I tend to seek out people that I vibe with more. I have common interests with. Yeah, so that's me.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, so in primary school, it's more of your proximity to a person, which is what brings you together. Whereas in secondary school, you sort of tend to naturally, maybe sometimes you can't even put it to words.
I
just say, I find this person, I don't find this person. It's a yes-no thing.
And in primary school, we didn't have social media and all that. So I think in secondary school, since we started using it more, it also in a way affects how we approach other people and all that, influence on social media.
Yeah, but I think this is the case for the three of us, but it may not be the case for every teenager out there, right?
Yeah.
I think there are also some people who struggle to fit in and they try to fit in.
Yeah.
So, have you ever stayed in a friendship where you were afraid of being left out, judged, or alone, and that's the reason why you're in a friendship?
I'll say first of all, for all friendships, I think the thought of being left out and alone is always subconsciously there, because that's human nature. We are made to.
We are social fellows.
We are made to socialize.
And we're meant to bond and connect with each other. For me, there was a time where I didn't really have a lot of close friends, and I had to sort of make do with the social circle I had for a certain period of time. And actually now looking back at it, I learned a lot about myself on how I choose my friends as well. Because through that period, I noticed I tend to be more selective on my choice of friends.
For me, there was also a period where, like, in my class, I didn't have many close friends. Since everyone already had their own cliques and all that, I couldn't really like force myself into any of it. So I was like, but I wouldn't really say I forced myself into a friendship because of that. I tried like embrace like being alone, and I spent a lot of time alone now, so I could reflect and like I would say it like strengthened my character more. So as I spent more time with myself and I discovered more about myself, rather than like trying to force my way into a friendship and like gaining nothing from it, just validation, for example.
Yeah, I agree. But I also think that a lot of kids, a lot of children, even teenagers our age, we tend to actively seek validation.
Yeah.
Even though you may say you're nonchalant or whatever, right? I think everybody like
Subconsciously,
be it subconsciously or consciously seeks validation.
That's very
So I think a lot of teenagers out there also, like everywhere, they also, they just want to hang out on the popular streets. Especially you mentioned social media just now. Right? They get over obsessed with all these followers and likes
So
on social media. Yeah, they're too caught up in it, and it affects their studies, which is not a good thing, and it's not good for your mental well-being also.
And I feel that they sort of lose their sense of self, because if external validation is the only thing that makes up their identity, then who truly are you?
Yeah.
Who are you?
And what makes it worse is that they can do all of these things, right? But they're still not recognized by their so-called friends.
They're like fake friends.
Yeah, so it's
and I feel like a lot of them might also succumb to like peer pressure to like act cool and like also get the external validation. Even though it might not actually like let other people think that we're cool or whatever.
I lead them down a slippery slope if they choose the wrong social
Yeah. Speaking of this, at what point does a friendship become unhealthy, especially in a school setting?
Okay, so I mentioned peer pressure, right? So if like your friends are like forcing you to do this, do that, and you're not able to like distinguish between like pressure and them actually wanting you to do this, I think that might not be a good thing. And if you're like not so mature, you might also not be able to recognize when they're like trying to take advantage of you, which might be a case for some people. So I think that's when the friendship might be, like, become dangerous.
Correct. And I think also you can also tell if both of your core values are conflicting. Let's say you have a thrill chaser. Of course, the person who wants to focus on his academics and get his life right shouldn't go and hang out with a guy that prioritizes chasing the thrill of life over getting a life right. And I think this decision also happens subconsciously. You can tell maybe within the first 5 minutes of meeting a person, like where this guy is heading.
Yeah. Personally, I believe that when it comes to relationships, be it friendships or relationships with your loved ones, family, whatever, right? I think there are very important three key ingredients: commitment, respect, and trust. Right? With these three ingredients, it doesn't matter what you go through together as a friend, right? Because your friendship is supposed to be the one thing that supports you no matter whatever you face. For example, I can be facing a struggle in school, right? Maybe I have a struggle at home.
Yeah.
I can't hang out with my friends at the best time. I need to work on my academic grades or to get it up, something like that. As that person's friend, he is obliged to offer his help his friend, show some understanding, care and support, right? That's the whole purpose of a friendship. You're supposed to be pillars where the other person can lean on you.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like a pillar of support.
Yeah, so that's what I think friendship is all about. If you are unhappy with each other over a small agreement, right, and you can't see eye to eye, then I don't think it works. I don't think the friendship works.
If your friend leaves when times get tough for both of you, then it's not.
That is not a real
really
friendship.
consider that a friend.
It's just someone that I'll consider that someone who's like just here for the fun, and like when you actually need that person and you just like don't care, that wouldn't really be a friendship.
It's only there for the good times.
Yeah, and doesn't
Exactly.
exactly.
I think that as we age, right, as we grow older, we realize that what we need is actually not a large circle of friends. You just need a few key friends who will support you no matter what you are going through. They'll be standing by your side ready to offer their help.
Quality over quantity, lah.
Yeah.
Less is more.
Yeah. The rest you can forget about them.
I think that also comes with maturity. Yeah.
I think that you have different type of friends and they all play different roles in your life. I feel that you shouldn't also take away the value that the friends that you are not so close to bring to your life. Like on a practicality sense, they could bring you connections to maybe social events, opportunities in the future. But they also teach you how to socialize when you're meeting someone new, trying to learn more about them. It's a whole different skill set, but it's equally important and you shouldn't take, and I don't think you should take away the value from friends who are maybe not that close to us.
Yeah, I agree. Everybody has a part to play. Yeah. Okay, this question may not be related, but do you think that girls and guys can be good friends? Purely platonic.
I think it depends on like your boundaries, basically. Like, if you're okay with being a good friend with someone of the opposite gender, and you won't cross that boundary, like both of you won't cross it, I think it's okay to be friends. Yeah. So what do you think?
There are definitely a lot of platonic friendship of opposite sex, but it really depends on the friendship dynamic. Let's say like the guy has a girlfriend, the girlfriend is not happy about this close platonic friendship that's going on, then the boat will
But
change.
that's a separate issue.
Yeah, that's a separate issue.
Yeah.
It's all very.
But it's a bit of a controversial topic.
Yeah, that's true.
In Singapore, it's quite a traditional society, so I don't think that a lot of people would maybe, think of a guy and girl relationship as a platonic relationship. It won't be your first.
Yeah, like you see a guy and a girl together. What's the first thing you see?
You think.
Yeah,
you
what's the
assume
first
they're
thing
in
you
a
see?
relationship, right?
Especially
Yeah,
if
it's
like
just. I mean, if a guy like talks to a girl, a new girl, right? You assume the guy is looking for the girl, right? The guy is not looking for a friend. Like, come on, let's be serious. Yeah. Okay. So, at this stage where our prefrontal cortex is still developing, our identity and character are very susceptible to being shaped by the people we spend time with. Every teenager has experienced getting pressured by their friends to do something which is against their values or may potentially land them in trouble. How do you think we as teenagers should cope with conforming to peer pressure?
I feel that you should always think before you act. Let's say if you're being asked to do something that you're uncomfortable with, you should ask yourself, do I really need their validation? Do I really need to be doing this? How do I feel after I do this? What are the repercussions? And you make the call if it conflicts with call the shot if it conflicts with your values and what you want to do or not. Yeah, it's basically a risk assessment.
Yeah, I'll agree with him. I think it really depends on what the person wants me to like. The person might be pressuring me to do something that's good, but I don't think pressuring is the way to get the person to do that. So I'll basically just judge what the thing is. If it's something that's against my values, I wouldn't do. I'll just say no. I'll just stand my ground and just say no. Like, luckily, I don't surround myself with like the wrong kind of circle, so I haven't really experienced having to like just directly say no or anything.
Yeah, you know in Chinese there's this saying, right? 近朱者赤，近墨者黑. Basically in English it means that you are the sum of the 5 people you spend most time with. I like to think of life as a battlefield, right? And then your circle of friends is your rabbit hole. So you should only let those whom you trust into your rabbit hole because they are there in the fight with you to support you, to have your back covered. You know, you don't want to have toxic friends who are going to bring you down to be in your own rabbit hole. That's going to defeat the whole purpose because the purpose of the fight is fight against the enemy, right? Yeah. So I think it's very important to choose your close circle of friends. If you have a close circle of friends who can understand you, can respect you, trust you, then you won't have to conform.
It's like your 3 ingredients are
Trust, commitment, and sacrifice.
Yeah, so you let these people into your rabbit hole. You know they will have your back. Yeah.
Exactly. However, though, I personally believe that in every friendship, in order to grow and develop as a person, I think that you should feel self-conscious and uncomfortable around your friends. That's what I personally think. For example, right, I can confidently say that coming into this year, I was doing the worst academically out of the 2 of us. Right? You were in ACH, right, accelerated class for humanities, and you're in triple science. I was in the worst IP class of my cohort, right? So, but you see, you guys supported me throughout the journey. You were there to help me. You didn't make fun of me. You didn't say, this guy like failed everything, you know. Yeah. And then I can say I improve, which is a good thing. So with a friendship like this where you can support each other and help each other, you shouldn't be competing against each other as rivals, but you should aim to progress together as a whole.
Lift each other up.
Yeah, lift each other up. That's the whole purpose of friendship.
We are honored to hear that.
Yeah,
You're welcome. Okay. So I'm sure there's also a cause of concern for many parents out there, right? What more do you think parents and guardians can do to provide support for their teenagers during their struggling time when they are facing peer pressure?
Okay, so I think we mentioned this in the last episode, right? It really depends on the relationship between the parents and teenagers. Some teenagers might not even talk about what's going on. So I think every parent has a duty to like check in on their teenagers and like find out about like their social circle and like who they are hanging out with. And teenagers are also, they like to keep some parts of their life private. So I think as parents, you should just like keep an eye open and see whether they are like surrounding themselves with good people or not. And if they feel like the teenager might be getting himself into trouble or like succumbing to peer pressure and like going down the wrong path, I think that's when the parents have to step in. Other than that, I think they should let their child, their teen develop in their own way and experience life on its own.
But how do you think the parents should balance with the privacy and, because you mentioned that parents should still be aware of who their friend, who their child is friends with, right? But sometimes, especially in this age with social media and technology, you don't get the whole picture. So, but I also think that it can be a bit pressurizing for a child if the parents constantly
like keep those things there.
Yeah. So I think that the parents should just take what the child gives as it is. Like if the child shares X amount of information, just take it as that.
There should be the trust lah.
And as a parent, you could probe maybe once or twice, but if the child is not willing to give you any more, then leave it. To be honest, I think what's important for the child in this case is giving a safe space for him to open up as much as possible. That way, you get to know your own child better, and maybe steer him in the right direction whenever he faces trouble. Like for example, you can help him guide through his thought process. If he's struggling to make sense of whatever emotions, feelings, or thoughts he's going through, you can talk with him, maybe he comes out of it having a clearer picture of the potential peer pressure trap that he's falling into.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Yeah, I also think that, again, in Chinese there's a saying, 父母是孩子的第一任老师, right? Your parents are your first teacher. In whatever lesson you learn, right, in life, whatever value, whatever character you have, is first cultivated by your parents. So, if you teach your child from young what is right, what is wrong, for example, fighting in school is wrong, vaping is wrong. When your child faces peer pressure to vape, maybe his friends vape or something, right? He knows that it's wrong. He knows that I cannot betray the trust of my parent. So it's still a parent's duty to have that trust and respect the boundary between them. With that boundary being strong enough, right? Your child won't. I would say there's a lower likelihood of your child deviating from the path that you really set him on.
So it's very important for parents to create a strong foundation of core values for their children when they are still young and when their minds are still fresh from the world and still developing. I like to believe everyone is born on a clean slate.
Yeah.
And the first point of contact with that paper, which is like the baby's brain,
It's a good thing.
is your parents.
Right, yeah.
So as a parents, you have the duty and responsibility of molding your own child when he's young, learning the right thing, teaching him the right things, mannerisms, values, attitudes, all that. And with a strong enough foundation, he or she should be able to resist peer pressure or be easily.
Yeah. But that's the ideal scenario. If your child is really like a teenager and is really facing this issue of peer pressure, personally, I feel that parents shouldn't aim to be your child's best friend at home. Right? Some parents may want to be their child's best friend at home, like try to talk on an equal level with their child. I don't think that's what a child needs. What a child needs is the unshakable pillar of support where the child can, parents. I like to think of parents to be like Toyotas. You need to be reliable, consistent, and always there to support your child if you need it. Yeah. So if your child trusts you and can be open with you when he's facing this issue of peer pressure, he will tell you about it, and then you can guide him. You can
steer him towards the right path.
Yeah, but I think all parents obviously want the best for the child. Like they will obviously say this is wrong, that's wrong, and all that. But there are obviously still teenagers that like go down the wrong path, despite their parents, in a sense like what you said, molding them to be like with the core values. So like, how do you think this can be solved by the parents?
I think it depends on scenario. Right? It varies. Maybe some of the kids feel that they are too restricted and they don't have the space to explore. So as parents, it's also important to give your kids some safe space to explore, of course.
Yes, very
yeah. And make sure that they know the consequences behind their actions.
What if they already succumb to peer pressure and they are on that slippery slope?
It's still not too late. As a parent, everybody makes mistakes, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's human. Everyone makes mistakes.
Yeah.
But when you find out that your child has done something wrong, that's when you shouldn't judge them, right? You shouldn't judge them. You should
give them a space to grow and reflect themselves, change for the better.
Yeah. If you give them the opportunity to reinvent themselves, I think a lot of kids will take it, especially when they realize that they are on the wrong path.
I think the ultimate realization has got to boil down to the teenager itself, because at that age, sometimes parents who keep chiding still doesn't work. Healing comes from within. You could say that.
But I would say I won't say it's totally hopeless for the parent. I think there's still something a parent can do, right? I think
Showing up.
yeah, you need to show the effort of care and love to your kid. I think that's what.
But it's very easy. It's probably easier said than done because maybe in the heat of the moment, your teenager tells the parent something, and the parent might just flare out maybe after a hard day at work. So sometimes
it's not easy.
It can be unfortunate.
Yeah, I know.
The intention is
It's good.
pure and good, but in the moment, the knee-jerk reaction is just to snap, and then that in itself sets back this recovery phase by maybe in 1 week when the relationship is still a bit shaky, everyone cold war.
Yeah, no, but I think it's okay to snap. Everybody snaps.
Yeah,
but the important thing is for the parents to be able to come up to.
Yeah.
Even as a child.
True.
You shout at your parents or whatever. Okay, let's be honest. Not all of us are best of kids, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So when you do something wrong as a kid, don't go and think you are the thought of the world or something, right?
Yeah.
Just admit, apologize to your parents. They'll also open their side of the door. You know? Yeah. So I think that's very important. Like you have to put your ego aside, especially in a family. Come on,
be the big
who are you trying to prove? Okay. So, just now you mentioned social media, right?
Yeah.
How much do you think social media amplifies people? And how does it affect how we view friendships?
Okay, so social media is a very big place, right?
Yeah, go on.
So you definitely see people your age having fun, going to parties, drinking maybe whatnot. So when you see stuff like that, you will be thinking about, oh, what am I doing? I'm just sitting in my room the whole day.
I'm not even invited. There's 3 or 4 parties, right? Holiday, and I'm not invited.
You get the FOMO.
Yeah.
So, and looking at these things, you definitely you feel left out, and this will also drive you to seek for external validation because you're already missing out on stuff. So I think this is how social media
And I feel that social media also it gives people the platform to sort of publicize and glorify this whatever way of lifestyle they're living, doing stupid, dangerous things, or partying all day, all night, like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah.
And as teenagers who are on social media trying to find their sense of direction in life, they may be led into these paths, which ultimately is a slippery slope again. So I think it's very important for teenagers to find something that find
something
passion, find a sense of direction that you want to go in. So that could be in the form of goal setting, that could be in the form of
exercise,
reflection, learning an instrument, something individual and that you truly like.
Something to keep you grounded.
Stems from you and not from all the screens that you see on the phone, clubbing, whatever.
Yeah, I agree. But in this case of friendship, I think social media also it may create a very surface level view.
For real.
Because a lot of people just post on social media all their parties with their friends and everything, their holiday trips and everything. Then you might be thinking, oh, I don't go on such trips with my friends. I don't have such experiences with my friends, right? Even though you guys are very close friends, but because you are comparing your friendship to the
other people's
to the superficiality of social media, right? End up you yourself are not happy with it, and it affects your friendship. You also think your friend's not good enough because your friend's not interesting enough.
It may just give them out of feeling inferior.
Exactly. All the while, your friend may actually be the best friend who's there to support you and everything, even though it may be boring.
Keeping you grounded.
Exactly.
And that's quite unfortunate.
And like what you see on social media it doesn't represent the true state of friendship. Like you may see people going overseas and all that, but who knows if they are like really the best of friends or like they're just there for the fun.
Yeah.
You know, even if you don't go on such trips, at least you know like that the friends you have will like have your back in times of need. I think that's what's most important. That's what defines the friendship.
And not all friend groups have to go like to Zoom every weekend, or have to go Malaysia every month.
Or you don't have to do something crazy, you know.
You don't have to do all these things in order to be considered good friends.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll say my definition of good friends is knowing the other person inside out, and also having that chemistry, which can be seen through like even the small things that you do. The humor, your sense of humor, and how you can just be yourself around them.
Yeah.
Without having to put on whatever nonsense facade.
Yeah, exactly. Ultimately, in a friendship, you want to be who you truly are.
Yeah.
You don't want to put on the front, right? That defeats the whole point. Because once you take off the mask, how's your friend going to know how you are truly going to face whatever situation or struggle you are in, right? They won't be able to support you to the best of their ability, even if they want to.
Yeah.
Because let's be serious, if you have to put a mask in front of your friends, right, they're probably not your real friends. They're probably not gonna accept you for who you are. That's why you have to put
It's not benefiting everybody.
Okay. Finally, is there any advice you would like to give to the viewers regarding choosing their friends and dealing with social pressures?
So I think it's what we already mentioned. You should discover yourself. You should find out who you really are and whether whatever they're telling you to do, they're pressuring you to do, aligns with who you are and your core values. And if it doesn't, then I would say just say no. Like it really, honestly, it's scenario based also. Like you might find it difficult to say no, but I think you should have the strength and like you should believe in your character to be able to say no. That's the most important thing in my opinion.
Yeah, it requires courage.
Yeah,
I don't think it's an easy thing to do.
It's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
While we said earlier that friendships always come from like natural instincts and the natural clicking of two people, I feel that you should still always ask yourself, and especially when you're trying to get closer to a person, you're investing more every time you see that person. You should always ask yourself, like, does he or she align with whatever values you have? Can you really be yourself around this person? So yeah, while a lot of friendships come naturally, those friendships that stem from peer pressure and lead to a slippery slope also come naturally.
Yeah.
So you have to always step back and reflect. I think that's very important.
The advice I'm going to give, I think, is going to be a bit controversial, and some of the viewers might not agree with me. But I always think that it's better to have no friends than to have friends who are fake or they are not going to help you.
I actually agree with that.
Yeah. But when you are in that situation, right, it does not come naturally. It's not come naturally.
That's
It feels like shit.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's just something to keep in mind. You have to be self-aware all the time. I think that's our takeaway from this episode.
Yeah.
Okay, before we leave this episode, I would like to give an announcement.
Yeah.
Next episode is going to be a very special episode because we are going to have our first ever guest. Would you like to know who it is? Subscribe to our channel to learn more. Catch our next episode.
Bye.